2D theatrical animation is dead in Hollywood and probably always will be at this point, so all we got is CGI. What makes this even sadder is we've gone an entire generation now where kids haven't even seen 2D animation in the theaters, and when they do see it now, odds are they're gonna be like, "Aww, how quaint." So it looks like we're stuck with CGI. But if that's the case, why hasn't any of the studios pushed this form of animation to its max? Yes, each year CGI animation looks cleaner, colorful, and brighter, but that's nothing new. What I mean is, why is there always a sameness to it? Don't believe me? Think about this. If you didn't know what studio made what film the last 8 years, could you differentiate between them with just their art styles? A recent example would be with Smallfoot. It looks like something that Sony Animation would put out, even though it's a Warner Animation Group film. Here's the kicker though. During the end credits, I saw that Sony Animation did also work on that film. A ton of the character designs and animation look the same. It's even worse with the human characters. Most look like they were created by the same person. Is that too much of a blanket statement? Maybe a little. DreamWorks Animation shows more of a distinctive style when it comes to the designs and animation of their animal characters. Also, another problem with the CGI animation style is that it dates faster than 2D or stop motion. What was once bright, smooth, detailed, and colorful becomes wooden and plastic looking. Now, sometimes this can work to a film's favor, like with the Toy Story movies, except when it comes to the humans and surroundings. Okay, it only works with the toys. But the only other film that mostly skates by on this is Finding Nemo. And that's only because most of the film is underwater and dark. CGI always looks better in dark surroundings. An example would be CW's The Flash. Things, however, may be changing after seeing the trailers to Sony Animation's Spiderman Into the Spiderverse. The feel and energy are totally different. The first thing I noticed is the movement of the characters. There's a jittery feel to it. It seems what they did was remove a frame here and there. Because of this, there's a stop motion feel to the animation. This actually reminds me of the Peanuts movie. Now, I could be mistaken, but it appears there also could be some 2D shading put over the 3D models at times. The most obvious examples would be in the second trailer, when Miles leaps off the building and when Miles and Peter are seeing the cafe at the 1 minute 4 second part of the trailer. The creases on his forehead and on and around his nose. Also looking in the background of this scene, it looks like the menus are made in 2D digital. I'm probably wrong about that, and it's just a different style of texture mapping than what other CG films do. It would be interesting to see that happen though. The only time I've seen it done was during the Pixar short Paperman and with the Japanese animated series Knights of Sidonia. I find the character models intriguing as well because in many CGI family films, they just go for a rounder, softer look. There seems to be 2D aspects added into the 3D designs of the characters. I see more sharp angles mixed in with some roundness in the designs of the characters. This does two things. One, it makes them more realistic looking than a normal CGI design would. Two, they look more like comic book characters, unlike in, say, Big Hero 6, which was inspired by a comic book. The animators took some of the best visual aspects of the comic book medium and was able to merge it with some of the best aspects of the CG art style. The film so far looks like a comic book fully realized for the screen. The introduction of Penny Parker, Spider-Man Noir, and Spider-Ham were done in 2D or 2D digital-ish, it looks like. I figured that this would be only for the introduction of the characters, except based on the rest of the trailer, Penny and to a degree Spider-Ham keep some 2D aspects. Which reminds me, something that stuck out to me after watching the second trailer a third time. The noses. They're different character to character. Well, okay, it's more than just the noses of the characters in the film, it's their character design. Each character looks different from one another. Whether it's comic books or animation, a big problem is the same face, same body, different hair syndrome. Obviously, the Spider-Man from different dimensions will have a different design because, I mean, come on. Spider-Ham. But all the other characters I've seen so far in the film that appear in the trailers have a distinct look to each of them. At the 49-second mark, that explosion reminded me of Batman the Animated Series. There's an Art Deco design to it. That design choice for the moment may seem odd and jarring, but that's the point. For the intended audience of this film, they haven't seen Batman the Animated Series, sadly, so their frame of reference in terms of animation will only go as far back as 2010, around the same time of the CalArts, not really CalArts style that began to take hold. That dramatic a change in art style has shown to be effective in the past. One example would be the 2D segments in Kung Fu Panda, so I can see kids already being used to this once this occurs in the film. The parents might be thrown for a bit of a loop, however. Something I also noticed throughout the trailer but really hit me at the 45-second mark was how certain scenes looked toyic. Normally this would be seen as an insult, see Batman Forever and Batman Robin, but not in this case. There's an exuberant energy to it. It looks completely fake, but that's what's so fun about it. It's over the top and not realistic. If it were realistic, that moment wouldn't work because we've all seen realistic animation of fire and energy special effects by this point. We've gotten used to it. A side note here, I wonder, were certain parts of the film made just for the toy property possibilities? If so, I'm not sure how that would benefit Sony, seeing how, like with Fox, they have the film rights to these properties, but they don't have the toy rights to the properties. Marvel does. And Marvel, any particular year, will make more money on toys than the studios will make on their own films. Unless the rumor that Sony owning part of the overall character of Spider-Man is true. I probably should have wrote an analysis of this after I see the film. After all, I'll have more things to discuss and dissect. Nah. If worse comes to worse, I'll either redo this over or just add an addendum to it. It's just that this has been on my mind for a lot of time recently, and I really wanted to discuss it. So what do you think about what I discussed here? Comment below and let's continue the conversation. And until next time, remember this: read more comic books from around the world and watch more stop motion and 2D animation. Venture on.
Spider Pig, does whatever a Spider Pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig.